So now that the Ravens have signed Jair Alexander, there are many across the league, many people that cover the NFL that believe the Ravens have the best roster in the NFL. And with this comes great expectations. Many believe that the Ravens are on the path to finally win a Super Bowl in the Lamar Jackson era. But with this signing, like they said,
remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
What questions, if any, do the Baltimore Ravens have with this roster? What are the questionable positions, questionable players that may stop the Ravens from getting where they ultimately need to go, where they ultimately need to be, where the Ravens have just fallen a little bit short time and time again? And for me, there are 3 positions in question that the Ravens have to answer when it comes to training camp and preseason before the season starts. What are those key positions? What are those few areas of concern that the Ravens may need to clean up? And the first position is the obvious one. It has to be the left guard position. Now, Coach Warhop said, listen, I don't do the tandem thing. I don't do the one guy plays a little bit, then the other guy comes in and relieves him. I need a clear-cut starter at each position on this offensive line. And coming out of mandatory minicamps, that one person who seems to be leading the charge is Andrew Voorhees. Now, the only competition that he truly really has is Ben Cleveland. Now, I know that Emory Jones was supposed to be in the mix, but he was drafted injured. So that just leaves Cleveland and Voorhees to man the position. And hopefully one of those guys can take hold and actually solidify this line and hold things down. But we don't really know. And the questions are always going to be there until Voorhees proves us wrong. He was injured throughout college. He came into the league injured, and last season after 3 games, they say he lost his job because of injury.
I can't put anything on the internet that isn't true.
Where'd you hear that? The internet.
And don't get me wrong, injuries may have played a part in it, but he may just not have been ready. So now coming into year 3, is this the year that Voorhees is going to put everything all together? Is this the year that he's going to stay healthy? Because outside of everything else, maybe except for the other guard spot, this Ravens offense is loaded. They were first in yards last year, even outgaining the champion Philadelphia Eagles. They were 3rd in points scored. So in year 2 of Derrick Henry, can the Ravens put it all together? And in my opinion, I think that they can be number 1 across the board in points and yards per game. I think that this offense can be truly dominant, especially when you add a 3rd piece, a 3rd wide receiver like DeAndre Hopkins to take over for Nelson Agholor. If anything, DeAndre Hopkins still can dictate coverages. They still have to pay attention. He may not be the DeAndre Hopkins of 2018, 2019, but he is still a Hall of Fame type receiver. So if the Ravens can actually get this offensive line right, there is no telling where this offense can take us. And finally, in the playoffs, we can do what we need to do. The second position in question to me is going to be the edge position. And we did have 2 double-digit sack guys last season for the first time, I think, since 2017, I believe. And I do think that when it comes to Odafe Oweh and his 10 sacks, he is possibly going to get better this season. It is also a contract year for him. So once you start adding that on top of it, I think that Oweh may get 12 to 15 sacks this year if he continues his progression, if that added weight doesn't stunt his growth. Now, when it comes to Kyle Van Noy, listen, last year was a career year for him. Last year was his first year hitting double-digit sacks. Last year was his first year getting a Pro Bowl nod. The former 2nd-round pick seems to get better each and every year, but this season, he's going to be in his mid-30s. Can he continue to play at a high level? And what do the Ravens have behind them? Yes, they drafted Mike Green, and we think that he's going to be a good one, but is he going to be that impact player in year 1? Tavius Robinson has seemed to take a turn for the better. Hopefully, Adisa Isaac can stay healthy. David Ajabo, it is what it is. But if some of these players start to regress, what are the Ravens going to do about generating a pass rush? There are a few guys on the streets that could possibly impact the Ravens, but do they want to come here? Do they want to sign for lesser money to chase that ring? That has yet to be seen. And with the Ravens secondary being hopefully as great as we think that they are, that is going to make things a little more difficult for quarterbacks to throw the ball, give these pass rushers a little bit more time. So maybe the Ravens don't need to add to it, but we just have some questions of, can they hold up? Will they progress? Will some of these older players still be able to sustain the high level of play that they've had over the last couple of years? And the last question, the last concern that we have for the Baltimore Ravens entering this 2025 season has to be something that we have not worried about for quite a long time. We haven't had questions about this since entering the 2012 season. And that position is kicker. Justin Tucker has held down the Baltimore Ravens, and we knew going into each and every year This is one thing we didn't have to worry about. We didn't have to worry about bringing in a replacement. We knew Justin Tucker was going to be one of the better kickers in the league. Now this year with Tyler Loop, he started off strong, but tended to fade a little bit as OTAs went on. Can he keep up that high level of consistency that the Ravens need? Now, me personally, I'm thinking that if this Ravens team is going to be where I think that they're going to be, kicking game is not even going to come into play. If the Ravens can score points like I think that they can, we're not going to need a kicker to win us games. Yes, he can give us some cushion points. He can come in and maybe start some things off, but I don't think that he's going to be dependent upon, especially in his rookie year, to win games. As long as he doesn't have an issue kicking extra points, I think the Ravens are going to be fine. So to me, these are the 3 question marks that the Ravens have going into the 2025 season, in my opinion, that may kind of slow them down from getting to a Super Bowl. But let us not forget, they can always make moves throughout the season, pick up guys off the street, make trades up until the trade deadline. It's not a high alarming concern, but it is some things that the Ravens may need to look at going into training camp. And to go along with those question marks, we also have players that are possibly under pressure entering the 2025 season, and which players, in my opinion, will have the most pressure on their shoulders to help the Ravens get to a Super Bowl. And first and foremost, of course, is going to be Lamar Jackson. Now, this is something that I don't think bothers Lamar. I think he handles pressure extremely well, and it may not be the pressure that a lot of people are thinking about. To me, Lamar doesn't have the pressure of, I have to be better, I have to do better, I have to elevate my game, because what he did last season was pretty damn impressive. So for me, I just think that Lamar just has the pressure of getting that monkey off of his back and winning a title, or at least making it to a Super Bowl, so we can stop the comparisons with those other quarterbacks who aren't exactly, in my opinion, on his level. We just need to see what Lamar does in the regular season during the postseason, and if this happens, we shall be fine. But we also need some of his teammates to elevate their game when it matters the most. But being that he is the face of this franchise, of course he's going to be under the most scrutiny. Of course he's going to get the blame when things go wrong. He doesn't always get all the credit when things go right, but when it doesn't happen the way that it's supposed to, it's always Lamar could have did this, Lamar should have did that. And to me, if he can finally get it done this season, we erase all the narratives of the past. We just saw last night the Oklahoma City Thunder have erased a lot of that team's misery by winning their first NBA championship. People knew that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was an outstanding player, but now he's a champion. So they're going to look at him in a new light. He won his first MVP and he won the finals MVP as well. So winning that first title can change a lot of narratives. And to some people, that can be a lot of pressure. So hopefully this year, Lamar Jackson can get all of that out of the way. The second person that I think is under a lot of pressure is going to be the aforementioned Andrew Voorhees. He has the pressure of blocking for Lamar Jackson. He has the pressure of opening holes for Derrick Henry. He doesn't have to be the best, but if he can minimize mistakes and just do his job, that's all we're asking him to do. But he's being asked to step into a pressure situation in only his 3rd year in the league. Doesn't have a ton of experience. So there may be some issues with play recognition, some stunts, some things that the defenses are doing, but he is one of the most important key pieces on this team, because blocking for Lamar and blocking for Derrick Henry are some of the things that have failed the Ravens in the playoffs. The pressure for me on him is to stay healthy for a full season, to be able to play for a full season, not get injured, so they know what they have going forward, so we don't have to go into next year's draft looking for another guard to replace him. Hopefully he can do what he needs to do, or Ben Cleveland can step up, but it doesn't really matter to me as long as the best 5 guys are on the field to protect Lamar and open holes for Derrick Henry. The third person with the most amount of pressure going into 2025 has to be David Ojabo. He is fighting for his NFL life. He is fighting for his right to stay and remain a Baltimore Raven. Now the question is, can he play and regain that talent, that burst, that spark that he had when the Ravens made him a 2nd-round pick? The Ravens' edge room is loaded with guys that want to surpass him and take his place. Unfortunately, injuries and just being in John Harbaugh's doghouse hasn't helped him out, so this is his final chance. This is his last season under contract right now as a Raven, so he has the pressure of just making the team. And if he tends to get cut and the New York Jets don't pick him up, what would his NFL future hold? There is a possibility that in 2026, he could be out of the league altogether. So to me, it's like I'm playing for my life. So Ojabo has a lot of pressure put upon him this upcoming offseason. The next guy is Trenton Simpson. The Ravens are looking for someone to replace Patrick Queen, and they thought that they had him when they drafted Trenton Simpson in the 3rd round. But he has not, for some reason, whatever reason it may be, become that player that the Ravens thought he could when they drafted him. A lot of us don't know what happened, how he fell out of favor, because in the preseason, he displayed an immense amount of talent. Like, he played every snap during the preseason, and he showed that explosiveness, that burst, the instincts to put all of us at ease, like, okay, he's got this position. But for some reason, it didn't happen during the season. They fell out of favor. They put other guys in that may not have been as athletic or as talented as he was. And looking at the stats, it was very surprising to me that he had 73 tackles. Not saying that that is the best, but for a guy that didn't have a lot of playing time, 73 is a lot of tackles. He had 1.5 sacks in 13 starts, but he didn't play the majority of games. So from the outside looking in, it looked like he did a decent job. But they were saying that he was a liability in the pass game, like he couldn't cover. And we've had linebackers in the past that were immensely talented, but they couldn't cover as well. But for some reason, the Ravens just didn't want to give him that trial by fire effort. Maybe because it's defense and they're like, we can go get somebody else. I don't think that he's been given the opportunities that he should have. And that's one of the reasons that the Ravens brought in and drafted Teddy Buchanan. So if he falls down that depth chart and he doesn't start this year, what does the future hold for him? And of course, if we talk failures during the postseason, we have to talk about John Harbaugh. He gets a lot of credit for the wins, but when it comes to the losses, he doesn't get as much smoke as everybody else. Most of that blame is laid on Lamar's shoulders. A lot of people tend to overlook some of the deficiencies of John Harbaugh. And that's not to say that he's not a good head coach, because he is. He has a very high winning percentage. He has longevity. He has just a lot of experience that some of these coaches don't have nowadays. But I think that when you take a team that's supposed to be one of the most talented in the league and you fail to win or even go to a Super Bowl again, what are you going to do? The Ravens have not done anything of notice since the 2012 season, and that is a long time. And that's not to say that the Ravens have not had talent. They've not had the pieces to win. For whatever reason that it may be, the Ravens just could not get it done. And the question remains, how long do you stick with a coach that just can't seem to get it done? Great regular season success, but doesn't do it in the postseason. And maybe, just maybe, Steve Bisciotti looks and says, you know what, John, you've been great for this organization. You helped lift us back up. You won us a Super Bowl, but you just can't get us to that final destination of where we need to go to get this Super Bowl. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but you have to start asking that question of, when is enough enough? Yes, regular season. We as Ravens fans are very spoiled to have an organization that has been as successful as it has been over this short period of time. But just like people can come at me and say, yo, Hendo, we could be the Cleveland Browns and suffer. I say we could have been the New England Patriots and had our own little dynasty. It may not have been 6 Super Bowls, but at least by now we should have at least had 2 or 3. And we have not. And that's not to put it all at the feet of John Harbaugh, but sometimes leadership matters. Sometimes that message that you're putting out gets stale. And guys are like, yo, I'm tired of hearing it. I understand what you're saying, and I know what you're saying is right, but they don't buy into the system. And this may be, for all intents and purposes, even though Harbaugh got an extension, this could be his last year as the coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Now, it's very minuscule, like the seat's not hot or anything, but sometimes you just have to reconsider what is working and what is not for this organization. So to me, I think that John Harbaugh is under a tiny bit of pressure to finally get the Ravens to a Super Bowl. And last but not least, I think that the Baltimore Ravens defense possibly is under the most pressure on the team. All of the first round picks that were allocated to this defense, all the trades, all the moves that were made to make this defense better has not brought the Ravens a championship as of yet. Last season, they slid a little bit. They ended up 31st in the league in pass defense, but they drafted Malachi Starks. They brought in Jair Alexander. They got Chidobe Awuzie. They have Nate Wiggins in his second year. So when you put most of your stars and most of your resources over into one side of the ball, to me, they should be the reasons that you win. And if you don't, they may have to get a lot of the criticism when you don't, because you put so much into that side of the ball. And I think Marlon Humphrey said it best. Like, listen, as a team, we need to do better on the turnover battle. Our offense cut down on them, but defensively, all 11 of us working together, we have to go get the ball. We have to do something to get the ball back to our offense, because the other team is getting the ball back to theirs. And he said even in that Buffalo game, if they force just one turnover, if they get the ball back one time, the Ravens would possibly win that game. And I believe that to be true. If they could have just matched them slightly. Like, they didn't have to get 3 turnovers. If they got 1, and if they definitely would have got 2 turnovers, they would have won the game. I was rewatching the game on Friday night, and I wanted to know, why do we keep losing games like this? And yes, in the beginning, we all wanted to say, well, Lamar had 2 turnovers. Andrews dropped a 2-point conversion. Andrews fumbled the ball. This and this happened. But watching that game, there were so many opportunities. There were a myriad of reasons why the Ravens lost. And I think that my next video, I'm just going to do a deep dive into what happened during that game and why the Ravens came up short once again. But defensively, the Ravens defense has to do better. 3 turnovers in the playoffs since Lamar Jackson has been drafted. 2 turnovers in games where Lamar Jackson has started games. So if they can turn that around during the postseason, because during the regular season, they get the turnovers. They do what they're supposed to do. But when the playoffs come and you're playing the better teams week in and week out, it's just not happening. And I don't know why. So hopefully with the additions that the Ravens have brought in this year, things are going to change. This season is going to be different. The ending is going to be different, because I want to be sitting here doing a video on how the Ravens are champions. I want the Ravens to win that Super Bowl and me do a 24-hour live stream right after, because I'm so excited. Like, no one will be more happy or excited that the Ravens won that Lamar Jackson won a Super Bowl than I will, because I want that for him more than anything. Yes, I want the franchise to do well. I want the franchise to win, but I want Lamar Jackson to be crowned a champion, because I want to hear what those guys have to say next. What narrative can they possibly bring up once Lamar Jackson has won a Super Bowl? Because he killed the narrative that he's not just a running quarterback. He killed the narrative that he can't bring his team back from deficits. He killed the narrative that he can't win in the playoffs. He killed the narrative that he can't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. So once he wins that Super Bowl, what's next? And I just want to get to that point. And before I go, just want to tell a quick story about what happened over the weekend. I want to shout out my brothers at Lunch Break Hot Take, Jose and Brady. I really want to thank those guys for getting me out of my comfort zone and inviting me to go with them to New York City. We went to New York City to the Fanatic Fest, and it was a lot better than I expected. Now, the premise that I thought was we were actually going to go up there to see some wrestlers. Jose was taking his son out there to meet Cody Rhodes, because that's his favorite wrestler. And I'm going to say, I haven't watched wrestling in about 20, 30 years, but I have a newfound respect for Cody Rhodes. We got there, we saw Cody Rhodes, and it was a line. Now, let me tell you, your boy still got it. Because I was able to finagle us some passes that help us get into the expedited lines. Because, yeah, we got into the line, we met Cody Rhodes, and I know there were people that were jealous, because there were people in there dressed up like Cody. They had all of these things going on. But when it came to us, Cody actually showed us some grace, and he did what he didn't do for a lot of people. He stood up and gave nephew a hug.
Just kind of go around to the outside part.
My friend, nice seeing you, big dog. What's your name, man? Oh, very nice meeting you, my friend. Very nice meeting you.
All right, thank you.
And I'm telling you, when he did that, it kind of hit me, and it hit the soft spot, and I kind of choked up a little bit, like, okay, respect. He didn't have to do that, but he did that, and I was so glad that I was there to be a part of it. But more than anything else, after that, I didn't know that it was so many people there. You had Michael Vick, you had Marshawn Lynch, you had Kevin Durant. I even got a signed book from Dawn Staley. So it was a wonderful, amazing weekend. I wanted to shout them out and thank them for taking me out of my comfort zone and letting me tag along with them. All right, that's enough of the sappy stuff. So listen, if you like the videos, if you like what I'm doing, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you are aware when I come out with brand new videos. The season is almost upon us, and we need to get this thing crack-a-lack. We need to get all this stuff popping and grow this community, because we have so much to do. The guys and I have so many things planned for you. It's going to be an amazing journey, an amazing trip, and I am so glad that you guys are along with us for this ride, to make Ravens Nation great. Because listen, we are sorely lacking when it comes to the Ravens community. And I'm not just talking about me, and I'm not just talking about my boys. Looking around at other teams, they fully support their YouTubers. I mean, across the board, from best to worst. And we are kind of falling behind in the arms race. Like, we need to do better. We don't have a pure Ravens content creator that is at 100,000 subscribers. So let's get engraved into 100,000. We need that guy. We need that support. We need to show all these other teams we ain't slacking. Like, we got that fan base too. And I don't want to wait for the Ravens to win the Super Bowl for us to get there. So if you could, go out there, support your Ravens content creators. And listen, It's all love. We appreciate it. We appreciate doing this for you guys. I know at least I do, because it is painstakingly long to come up with an idea, record the video, edit the video, get the video out, and hope that it does well. And sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. But we love what we do, and we just do it all for you. So I want to say I appreciate you guys. I thank you guys. And let's help to make the Ravens community greater than the rest, because this is the best franchise, the best organization in pro football. So let's get it done.